My best friend made a deal with the devil to get rich. The contract was fulfilled, but she suddenly regretted it and didn't want to give up her soul. To pay off the debt, she tied me and my daughter up and delivered us to the demon headquarters, offering our flesh as payment. Looking at the piles of demons in the castle, my heart trembled slightly, not from fear, but excitement. Damn it, isn't this Simon's hideout? A few years ago, after a huge fight with him, I returned to the human world, only to unexpectedly end up pregnant with his child. Too stubborn to admit defeat, I never contacted him, not even after giving birth. And now, here I am, dragged back with our daughter in tow. What are you staring at? Try to run, and I'll feed your daughter to the dogs. My heart clenched in terror, and I immediately averted my gaze. Beside me, my daughter was bound tightly, her eyes wide with fear. Unable to hold back, she burst into loud, panicked sobs. I was just about to comfort her when the man in front of me impatiently stuffed a rag into her mouth and slapped my daughter several times, leaving a swollen handprint on her face. The child couldn't withstand the force and immediately passed out. Don't hit my daughter. No sooner had I spoken than someone kicked me in the chest, the pain so intense that my vision went black and I spat out a mouthful of blood. You bitch, still barking like a dog? Think this is your home? Shut the hell up. I opened my eyes, my vision covered by a thin layer of blood, my head ringing. My daughter and I have done nothing to you. If you want revenge, find the right person. I beg you, please let us go. My daughter lay beside me, her small face swollen and bruised, a horrifying sight. I tried to crawl toward her, but someone quickly stepped on my hand. The man snorted coldly. Blame your best friend. She traded your lives to us. She was the one who made a contract with us first, then backed out at the last minute. Now your souls will have to serve as our food. The word food sent a shiver down my spine, filling me with regret. My best friend and I had grown up together, sharing an unbreakable bond. Lately, she had been scrambling to raise money everywhere, so out of gratitude, I directly transferred her $1 million. And how did she repay me? By inviting me and my daughter to a meal, only for us to pass out halfway through. When I woke up again, I was already locked in a car, being transported to an ancient castle. Turns out, she had made some shady contract and was using my daughters and my lives to settle it. How dare she? How dare she? I gritted my teeth, the taste of blood flooding my mouth as hatred surged through me. The man approached me holding a vessel, murmuring words under his breath. Seeing him slice open my arm, a sense of dread washed over me, and I mustered all my strength to knock the vessel to the ground. Let me go. With a loud crash, the bowl shattered. The man's eyes widened, fury erupting from him as he pressed my face violently into the broken shards. Damn it, you worthless bitch. You refuse the easy way and choose the hard one, daring to resist. I'll take your life. I struggled desperately, whimpering as sharp pain shot through my face, so intense that my nails dug into the ground, leaving bloody trails. Just as I felt I might die from the agony, someone yanked me to my feet. Forget it. She won't last much longer anyway. A soul that dies struggling doesn't taste good, another man soothed in a gentle voice. Squinting, I gasped for air loudly. Then, something even more horrifying happened before my eyes. The man who had beaten me suddenly sprouted black horns and a tail from his head. Souls, contracts, and the faint glimpses of an ancient castle I'd seen along the way, everything clicked in an instant, jolting my memory. This was the lair of the demon Simon. A few years ago, we had a huge fight over something. In the chaos, I escaped the castle and unexpectedly discovered I was pregnant with our daughter. Too stubborn to admit defeat, I never reached out to him, not even after our daughter was born. Who would have thought after all this time, I'd end up kidnapped and dragged back here? At this thought, my panicked heart finally steadied. I know your demons. Let me go, now. The two men exchanged glances before bursting into laughter. So, what if you know? You'll be dead soon anyway." Their eyes brimmed with mockery as they stared at me. One of them pulled a sharp knife from his pocket and drove it straight into my palm. I screamed, vomiting a mouthful of blood. The man dipped his finger in the blood, licked it, and inhaled deeply with sickening delight. Trembling, I spat out, "Simon is my boyfriend. If you lay another hand on me, he'll rip your heads off and kick them like soccer balls." The moment Simon left my lips, their expressions twisted in shock. No sooner had the words left my mouth than I was slapped hard across the face. "How dare you mention our boss? Our boss's wife died long ago." "Died?" I froze, suddenly realizing that my sudden disappearance must have made Simon think I was dead. "It's me. I even bore him a daughter." I desperately tried to explain, but didn't know where to begin. The man sneered as he grabbed my hair, his disgusting tongue licking the wound on my face, sending waves of stinging pain. My hands trembled until I suddenly spotted my unconscious daughter nearby. Then inspiration struck and I screamed. "If you don't believe me, look. My daughter is the demon." The two men exchanged thoughtful glances before rushing to my daughter's side to sniff her arm. Immediately, their expressions changed dramatically. My heart leaped. I thought we were saved. The next moment, he kicked me to the ground. "Damn it, you're just a half-breed born from a human and a demon. How could our boss ever be with a human? You lying bitch, I'll tear your soul into 81 pieces." I had heard of the soul divider before, back when Simon jokingly threatened me with it. A human soul consists of 3 ethereal souls and 9 earthly spirits, 12 breaths of life in total, and these are what demons feed upon. Originally, demons only needed to cook their food before eating, but some demons with cruel tendencies would brutally dismember souls. The taste was utterly revolting. I couldn't stand this very thing, which is why I fought with Simon. He coaxed me, promising that demons would never feed on humans again, but now it seems it was all just lies. I struggled violently, my heart filled with terror. Just as the man was about to bring the knife down on me, the door was pushed open from outside. "The boss is awake. Keep the noise down." He saw the mess in the room and frowned. "Can't even handle a single human properly." I whimpered, recognizing him as the deputy who often followed Simon. Maybe he would recognize me. Thinking this, I immediately raised my head and tried to grab his pant leg with my hand. Before I could touch him, I was yanked back by the two men behind me. In desperation, I blurted out, "Victor, I'm your sister-in-law." Victor froze. Then his expression darkened. He took a few steps forward and asked, "Where did you catch this woman?" Seeing this, the two men immediately tightened their grip on my neck and said nervously, "She's a spy we just caught. She's making this up to save her own skin. Besides, didn't our sister-in-law die years ago? This shameless bitch dares to impersonate her. We were just about to teach her a lesson." My eyes widened, my mouth gagged, unable to make a sound except for muffled whimpers. My arm instinctively reached toward Victor's direction. "Save me." "Let her go." Victor stepped forward, pinching my chin as if examining me. A glimmer of hope had just ignited in my heart. The next second, I was violently slammed to the ground. Then came Victor's icy voice. "Not the boss's woman. Handle her yourselves." No sooner had the words fallen than two men spat viciously at me. "Damn it, I knew you were lying." Before I could react, a sharp pain exploded on my right cheek as my head snapped to the side from the slap, my ears ringing. One of the men then kicked me square in the kidney, sending my knees crashing onto the ground as excruciating pain shot through me. By the end, my clothes were soaked in blood. The man leered as he began tearing at my garments. "Since you refuse to die quietly, we'll have our fun with you first." I raised my hands to shield myself, only to scream the next instant as all 10 of my fingers were brutally snapped backward. The agony racked my body with convulsions, draining what little strength I had left to resist. Just as despair consumed me, I heard a voice drawl lazily. "What's going on so noisy?" That voice was all too familiar to me. It was Simon. Just those words instantly made the two men in the room lower their heads and fall silent. Hope surged in my heart. Simon was here too. If he was here, he could definitely save me. With that thought, I mustered the last of my strength to break free from the two men's grip and dashed toward the door, shouting, "Simon." The men quickly reacted, covering my mouth and dragging me back into the room. With a loud bang, the door slammed shut again. I struggled, but a sharp pain shot through my tongue, filling my mouth with blood. They had actually cut out my tongue. I nearly passed out from the pain, whimpering through gritted teeth. How come I hear a woman's voice? Simon's voice grew closer until it seemed to stop right outside the door. The two men's faces turned cold and grim, disregarding Simon's presence as they twisted my limbs together. With a sickening crack, I felt all the bones in my body dislocate. I tried to scream, but only a faint, strangled gasp escaped my lips. They pressed my head to the ground, shoving it into the shards from earlier. The metallic tang of blood spread, and as I teetered on the edge of unconsciousness, I seized the chaos to slam my head hard against the floor, creating a deafening crash. With a loud thud, the door was kicked open. Simon walked in with a dark expression, his face stormy. "Didn't I tell you not to?" Before he could finish speaking, the two men immediately dropped to their knees, bowing their heads submissively as they pleaded, "Boss, this woman found out our secret. We had no choice but to silence her. Yeah. If we let her go, who knows what kind of trouble she'd stir up." Simon glanced at them, his brow furrowing. He seemed to catch a familiar scent. He pointed at me and asked, "Where did you get this one?" My throat made a hoarse sound. No, he can't hear me. Thinking this, I crawled toward him. Before I could speak, Simon took a disgusted step back. The two men snapped out of it and immediately slapped me to the ground, snarling, "How dare you seduce our boss? Know your place. Lord Victor just arrived, and she dares impersonate the boss's woman to deceive us. She needs to be taught a lesson." I kept shaking my head, unwilling to give up my last chance, raising my bloodied palm with a red mole in the center. If Simon saw it, he would surely recognize me. "You dare impersonate my woman? How dare you?" I stared at him in disbelief, never expecting he wouldn't recognize me. My heart burned with such pain that I couldn't support my own body, collapsing instantly. Simon pressed his lips together and walked out in clear displeasure. "Handle it yourself. Be quick, don't dirty my carpet." The door slammed shut, plunging the room into darkness. "You think you can touch our boss? Disgusting. Dare to call yourself his woman? Our madam comes from noble blood. You lowly trash could never compare." Beating me no longer seemed enough to vent their anger, so they turned their gaze to my unconscious daughter. I crawled over, trying to shield her in my arms. But they yanked her up, pinning me to the ground with a foot on my chest, snarling, "Think you can fake it? We'll kill your daughter first, then finish you off." The daughter woke up from the pain, terrified, crying out, "Mommy, I want my mommy." Bang! The man slashed her face with a shard, leaving a bloody gash that looked horrifying. I was furious, yet utterly helpless, forced to watch as my daughter was abused. A few clicking sounds came from inside the room. In the corner stood another man. He was bent over, seemingly fiddling with a camera, as a coquettish female voice came from the phone. "Darling, the worse you torture her, the better. Just don't let her die too easily. Oh, send me all the photos. I love seeing someone as high and mighty as Lena dragged into the abyss." The man's face was unfamiliar, but that voice, I'd recognize it in my bones. It was my best friend Emma, once the closest person to me. Now not only had she pulled me into hell, she wanted me to die horribly right before her eyes. The man seized the opportunity to ask, "How do you want to handle this?" "I can help you with anything." Emma gave a charming smile and said, "Let her daughter be sliced 1,000 times, and after death, condemned to hell. As for her, let her watch her daughter die in agony with her own eyes." The man chuckled softly, turned around and drew a sharp blade, stabbing it into the daughter's body. In an instant, Blood gushed out as the girl screamed in agony. Rage surged within me, and with my last ounce of strength, I tackled the man to the ground. He spat viciously before driving the blade into my eye. Amid the pain, 2 streaks of bloody tears streamed down my face. My daughter seemed to sense my agony. Her hands reached for me, but grasped only empty air. "Mommy! Mommy!" A swirl of black mist suddenly rose from her head, accompanied by faintly visible dark horns. This was the mark of demonic possession. The barbed blade tore through the flesh of her back. Dazzling blood sprayed as shredded meat clung to the edge of the knife. The door was suddenly kicked open, and Simon stormed in with a face ashen with rage, a streak of blood trailing from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were bloodshot, surrounded by dark energy, looking utterly terrifying. Only then did I remember he and our daughter were connected by blood. When our daughter's demonic nature was triggered and she was brutally abused, he, as her father, would feel it too. The moment he looked down at me, I gritted my teeth, enduring the excruciating pain throughout my body, and used my foot to pick up a feather that had fallen from our daughter. I placed it before him. Demons connected by blood share the same wings. He would surely understand. "Sorry, boss. We'll kill these worthless scum right away. Do you want her dismembered or chopped up and fed to the dogs?" The moment those words were spoken, they were flung away by an immense force. "Get out." The overwhelming pressure forced the 3 men present to their knees, groaning in agony. Simon cradled our daughter in his arms. She had already fainted from the pain, her tiny body covered in blood. Simon knelt beside me on one knee, his hands trembling uncontrollably as he finally brushed the tangled hair away from my face. But my face was already marred by blood and wounds. He gently wiped my cheek with his fingertip, his voice trembling. "Lena, it's really you." His wings were warm, instantly enveloping both me and our daughter, bringing a long-lost sense of security. Seeing that he finally recognized me, the last bit of strength left my body, and I fainted into darkness. When I woke again, our daughter was sitting by my bedside, wearing a new dress. All her wounds had vanished, and she looked unusually lively. "Mommy, you're awake." I sat up, feeling remarkably light. When I looked down, I realized all my injuries had healed too. It seemed Simon had treated me while I was unconscious. My voice had returned as well. Before I could say anything, the door to the room suddenly swung open. Simon stood there, tears in his eyes, gazing at me with emotion. "Lena, you're finally awake." He stepped forward eagerly, but withdrew his hand the moment he was about to touch me. The usually cool and aloof Simon was uncharacteristically hesitant. "The injuries you suffered. I'll make them pay for every single one." A flash of ruthlessness crossed his eyes. With a clap of her hands, 2 tall attendants dragged in 2 men, the very ones who had tormented me that day. I frowned. There should have been 3 men in the room that day. Simon panicked upon hearing this and quickly explained, "There was a mishap while I was treating you. He escaped to the human world. But don't worry, I've already sent someone to catch him." I nodded slightly, silently accepting his explanation. Simon tenderly stroked my head and cradled his daughter in his arms, his gentleness overflowing. Yet the words that followed sent chills down everyone's spine. "Speak for yourselves. Who is it that dared raise a blade against my daughter?" Under the oppressive aura of the highest-ranking demon, the man on the left trembled as he confessed. "Boss, it was me. But I didn't mean to. Had I known she was your daughter, I would never have dared." He kept kowtowing until his forehead was scraped bloody. "Please forgive me." Knowing Simon was cold and ruthless, he directed his plea toward his daughter instead. But the daughter was equally indifferent. "You're the one who hurt me and Mom. Why should I forgive you?" Almost instantly, the man seemed to be enduring excruciating pain, his face twisting into a grotesque mask. His teeth chattered uncontrollably as he clawed at his own flesh. A bestial roar tore from his throat before he forcibly ripped off his own horns and gouged out his own heart. When the torment didn't cease, He continued digging out other organs, reducing himself to a bloody husk. Another man witnessing this scene immediately wet himself. The stench of urine mingled with the metallic tang of blood, creating a nauseating miasma. Simon's icy voice cut through the air. Who cut off Lena's tongue? Having seen the consequences, no one dared answer now. His eyes narrowed as he silently recited an incantation. The other man's tongue fell out, only to rapidly regenerate. Thus began his endless cycle of agony, his tongue being sawed off and regrowing in perpetual torment. He writhed on the ground, reduced to pitiful whimpers. With a wave of his hand, Simon had two attendants drag the broken men away. Soon, even the bloodstains vanished from the floor. I seized Simon's hand and enunciated each word. Emma. The other one must have escaped with Emma. He looked at me with pained tenderness, patting the back of my hand. I know. Don't worry, I'll capture them alive for your vengeance. Didn't you promise me demons would no longer feed on human souls? I glanced at him. Our daughter was already asleep in his arms. He tiptoed to lay her down on the other side of the bed before turning to me with a serious explanation. I've never broken a promise to you. This was just an accident. Someone defied my orders and made a contract with a human without permission. I swear to you, nothing like this will ever happen again. Simon's gaze was so earnest that, for a moment, it left me dazed. The argument with him back then was also because I couldn't bear demons feeding on human souls. But I never expected he'd be willing to change his very nature for me. My heart softened, and I no longer wanted to dwell on the past. Yet this matter wasn't over. Simon condemned two men to hell, where they would suffer torment and humiliation for eternity. Before long, his adjutant Victor also knelt before me. He knelt rigidly straight, speaking in terror. It was my blindness. I failed to recognize the boss's wife back then. Now that I think about it, the man in the corner must have cast a spell on me, making me unable to detect your scent, ma'am. My heart stirred with a surge of hatred. Emma had prepared so thoroughly. She was aiming for my death. With wolves ahead and tigers behind, she truly left no stone unturned. At my signal, Victor was sent to guard the prison for 10 years. After a decade, he could return to Simon's side. This was already the lightest punishment. Seeing the people sent to capture me never return, I didn't want to wait any longer. I'm leaving. The moment I spoke, Simon's eyes instantly reddened. He held me tight without saying a word. It was hard to imagine such a powerful man could look so aggrieved, his eyes rimmed with red. We haven't seen each other in years. I slept for so long because I missed you. After finally sensing your presence and slowly waking up, now you want to leave again? Don't go, please. I want to stay by your side. I ran my fingers through his hair, soft to the touch. Yet it didn't sway me in the slightest. This isn't up for discussion. She hurt our daughter. I'll take revenge myself. The day I found Emma, she had become the CEO of a major corporation. Holding billions in assets, she was dressed in opulent elegance. Her assistant was none other than the man who had photographed my misery with his camera that day. Simon's hands were wreathed in demonic energy, but I shook my head at him. This is human society. Don't cause trouble. I don't need to resort to violence. I have plenty of ways to ruin her reputation. Since she wants money, I'll make sure she goes bankrupt slowly. She's about to marry that devil, and the wedding is this week. Emma, with all her money, has arranged an extravagantly luxurious venue and invited dozens of tables of guests to witness her big day. I slipped in with the crowd and noticed a massive screen at the center of the wedding. No doubt it was meant to play clips of their loving moments. I smirked and switched the video to one of Emma entangled in bed with someone else. Truth be told, I didn't have real footage, but so what? A magically synthesized video. Who could possibly prove it was fake? The wedding soon began, with Emma dressed in lavish attire and the man who had abused me also dressed to the nines. Over a dozen cameras were fixed on the ceremony, broadcasting the extravagant $300 million wedding live. Standing on the stage, Emma wiped a tear from the corner of her eye and said, "Without Andre, I wouldn't be this happy. So, I vow to love him for the rest of my life." Andre, the very demon who had helped her torment me. Online, netizens were glued to the live stream, showering the couple with blessings. Wow, this is the first time I've seen such an extravagant wedding. The rich really do live differently. Is this what they call true love among the elite? I'm totally shipping them. This was exactly the effect Emma wanted. Her company had just gone public, and she needed this wave of publicity to boost its value, making the wedding her perfect choice. Next, she planned to play a video of her and Andre to drive the event's hype to its peak. The screen gradually brightened. Without turning her head, she spoke with tear-filled eyes. "Andre and I have come this far because the God of love has blessed us, and also because he gave me a second chance at life." Yet, no applause came from the audience. Instead, the guests began whispering among themselves. Emma's smiling face froze. Then she heard a moan. The large screen was actually playing a video of her having sex with someone else. Her eyes widened in shock as she frantically tried to turn off the screen. But no matter how hard she tried, it wouldn't shut off. Everyone present, along with netizens watching online, saw the entire video. Damn, playing a video of herself with another man at her own wedding? And people are calling this true love. Fuck, wasted my time watching this crap. In an instant, Emma Corporation stocks plummeted. The guests' uproar refused to die down, and Andre's expression grew increasingly stormy. When it was all over, they argued backstage. What the hell was that video about? Faced with the demon's intimidating aura, Emma's eyes reddened. "I don't know either. This video is fake. I never did such things." But the damage was already done. Would those who saw it even listen to her explanation? I let out a cold laugh. This was only the beginning. "Emma, the debt you owe me will be repaid slowly." With the company's stocks plummeting and the public backlash, all the partnerships Emma had secured in the past were canceled, leaving her to pay exorbitant breach of contract fees. She scrambled between several companies, finally grasping at a sliver of hope. I glanced at the company documents in her hand and flicked my fingers. Just like that, they appeared on the desk of a rival firm. The once unstoppable Emma had been thwarted again. Every proposal she carefully prepared would eventually end up on someone else's desk. No matter what methods she tried, she couldn't stop this from happening. The company that had risen so rapidly collapsed just as quickly, and the last bit of luck she had was completely exhausted. At the final negotiation table, I fabricated my identity and attended as a consultant for the opposing company. The moment she saw my face, she screamed, "How are you still alive?" Everyone around turned to look at her, and only then did she realize she had said the wrong thing. I mistook you for someone else." I smiled and said nonchalantly, "No, you didn't. I'm Lena. I bet the man who escaped never expected me to survive and return after what happened." With just a few casual words, Emma's face visibly paled. At the negotiation table, she kept making one mistake after another. Everything came to an end. Her company declared complete bankruptcy. In the parking lot, I saw her grabbing a man's hand, frantically demanding, "You said she'd never come back." The man was equally panicked and impatiently shook her off. How was I supposed to know? "Instead of worrying about that, you should be more concerned about whether we can even survive. You never told me before that Simon and her had that kind of relationship." I strolled over leisurely, with Simon following behind me. Seeing me like this, Emma instantly understood. "It's you?" Her expression turned deranged. "Why didn't you die sooner?" "I only regret not killing you with my own hands back then." She wanted to make a move on me, but Andre stopped her. Behind her is Simon. What do you have to compare with him? The accumulated conflicts of these days erupted at once, and she shouted, "Weren't you supposed to be on my side? What good does stopping me do for you?" She thought she and Andre were grasshoppers tied to the same rope, never imagining that Andre could abandon her at any moment. He just glanced at Simon, and countless thoughts flooded his mind. Andre grabbed Emma and knelt on the ground, saying, "Boss, she was the one who incited me to do this. I've captured her. Consider it my atonement." Emma struggled wildly, spewing curses. "How fucking dare you, Andre? We signed a contract. You can never betray me in this lifetime." The woman's screams echoed throughout the parking garage. Yet in the next moment, we found ourselves back in the ancient castle. She was terrified by the instantaneous change of scenery. Looking down at her with a smile, I said, "At the time, all 10 of my fingernails were ripped out, my tongue was cut off, and I had countless other minor injuries. Do you think you could endure that? Your eyes are quite beautiful. Why not give them to me?" She tried to run back, but Andre immediately dragged her back. Trembling with fear, she kowtowed to me repeatedly. Simon said lazily, "Andre, you do it." Andre hesitated, knife in hand, despite Emma's desperate pleas for mercy. "If you do this, I'll forgive you. Or would you rather die with her?" The tip of his knife touched Emma's skin, instantly leaving a red mark as blood welled up. Emma kept shaking her head, tears rolling down her face.
"Andre, I'm begging you."
"I truly loved you once, always saw you as my one and only." Andre was stunned, his face suddenly turning icy cold. Just as everyone thought he had made up his mind, he picked up the blade and stabbed at Simon. But it was like an egg striking a rock. He was knocked to the ground, his internal organs displaced, and blood immediately gushed out. I looked at Emma and said, "In that case, why don't you do it? You kill him, and I'll let bygones be bygones." Emma didn't hesitate for a moment as she picked up the knife, ready to stab Andre. It seemed she was summoning every ounce of her strength, determined to kill Andre. The moment the knife pierced Andre's heart, the ancient castle vanished without a trace, and we found ourselves back in the parking lot. The dim light illuminated Emma's pallid face. "What's going on?" Both were bewildered, but the blade had already plunged deep, blood gushing forth. Andre convulsed in pain. This was completely different from what he'd imagined. Demons don't die, much less get killed by humans. Yet this agony contorted his features, making him feel as if he were being devoured inch by inch. Only then did realization dawn on him. His soul was gradually disappearing. Simultaneously, the sound of police sirens blared. All 4 of us were taken to the police station for questioning. Days later, a horrifying case came to light. Andre was sent to the hospital, but couldn't be revived. The blade given to him had been laced with poison, compounded by the fact that he'd shared half his power with Emma through their contract. The price was that he could be killed by humans. However, he publicly claimed the cause of death was hemorrhaging. Emma was arrested and sentenced to 30 years in prison. When the verdict was announced, Simon asked me, "Clearly, they could have faced harsher punishment. Why didn't you?" I shook my head. "You're a demon. There were better ways to deal with them. But Emma is human. Doing that would defy the natural order." Simon's arms around me trembled slightly. "For you, what does defying the natural order matter?" I patted his back and teased with a smile. "Do I look that foolish? When Emma gets out, she'll only suffer more." The thing she cared about most in her life was money, and after money, it was her face. By that time, she would already be drained and exhausted, plagued by illness. Some people are better off dead than alive. Moreover, during the 50 long years she would suffer in prison, I would make sure to send her little surprises from time to time. In the first month of her imprisonment, I took my daughter to visit her. In just 1 month, most of her hair had turned gray. When she saw me, her expression instantly turned frenzied. "What more do you want from me?" "I was just pursuing what I wanted. Is that so wrong? You were born lucky, beautiful, and happy for most of your life. What's the big deal about dying for me?" My daughter's eyes burned with hatred. The next second, Emma's front teeth were knocked out.
"Ah!"
She let out a scream, but her mouth finally fell silent.
"What did you do to me?"
She was in agony, revealing 2 empty, bloody gaps in her mouth. "I'm calling police." "Yes, I'm calling the police." She frantically tried to find an officer. The moment the police arrived, she sighed in relief. "Lena, you idiot, get ready to rot in jail with me." But the officers frowned, because Emma's teeth had silently grown back.
How?
How is this possible? My teeth were knocked out by her. I lowered my eyes and sighed. "I don't even have the strength to break your teeth. Check the surveillance if you don't believe me." "You must be out of your mind," Emma shrieked. "You're lying. It was you bitch." My daughter covered her ears and sobbed. "Mommy, I don't want to listen anymore. Auntie's mouth is full of lies. People shouldn't lie." Emma fumed until she nearly coughed up blood, eventually getting warned by the prison guards. After everyone left, I smiled and said to her, "I'll come see you again next month. Make sure to take care of your health." This was the special surprise I had prepared for Emma. This time, it was teeth that would occasionally fall out. Next visit, it would be nails that would occasionally drop off. She harmed me first. What goes around comes around. I fear no punishment. The only reason I didn't let Simon intervene was because I couldn't bear to. My vengeance is mine to deliver. Upon returning home, Simon immediately pulled me into his embrace, holding evidence of Andre killing behind his back. "Lena, what happened that day was truly just an accident. I could never track down the culprit. Now, I can promise you this, such mistakes will never happen again." Looking at the evidence in his hand, my heart softened, and the years of estrangement instantly melted away. Our daughter could already call him Daddy with ease. "Daddy." Today, an auntie bullied Mommy, and I got revenge for her. Simon patted her head, full of pride. "Our daughter is so good. You must always protect Mommy from now on." Half a year later, Simon proposed to me. To fulfill his wish, we held 2 weddings. At the one in the human world, I wore a dress he designed himself. The entire wedding venue had no one but the 2 of us, and our daughter. "Mommy, I swear I'll always love you, always stay by your side, and be the sweetest, most beloved daughter to you. Wife, I'll spend my whole life protecting you, never letting you suffer even a scratch again." As I looked at the 2 of them, one big, one small, my eyes gradually welled up with tears. This is my whole world. After the wedding, since our daughter also needed education and friends her own age, Simon and I didn't return to the castle. Instead, we bought a large villa and settled down. A sudden text message disrupted my peaceful life. It was a delivery notification. But I hadn't ordered anything recently. Out of curiosity, I still brought the package home. I opened the letter to find several lines written in a sprawling hand. "I curse you to lose all you love forever, curse you." But I only got halfway through before losing interest. I tore the paper to shreds and threw it in the trash, just as Simon called out to me. "Lena, what's wrong? What was in the package?" I replied nonchalantly, "Just trash, already threw it away." He didn't seem to care and shoved the apple into my hand. I thought it was a gift for me. I scoffed. It was a cursed letter. Probably Emma going crazy in prison. Simon's face turned cold as he carefully examined the delivery box, confirming there was nothing amiss. "A curse? With me by your side, I'll give you all the luck in the world." The torn note crumbled to ashes in his hand. The daughter came home from school, skipping and hopping. "Mom, Dad, I'm home." Simon picked her up and bounced her in his arms, making her giggle. I kissed my daughter too, my heart filled with joy. The villains were brought to justice and paid the price. As for me, I gained happiness and a loving family. Everything turned out to be the perfect ending.